Meet Aras, Zada, chef, author, TV personality, and content creator with a passion for flavor and adventure. Born in LA and raised on skateboards, Aras' journey led him from Le Cordon Bleu to your screen. Now let's dive into the delicious world of Aras Zada.
Ara, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Aras Zada. I'm a chef, content creator, bow hunter, triathlete, snowboarder, extreme sports enthusiast. I do a little bit of pretty much everything, but more or less live my life for food.
What sparked your love for cooking?
When I was a kid, I was always in the kitchen. I always wanted to eat. My nickname as a kid was Kol Kol, which in Arabic means eat. And I found myself constantly just spending time in there. And then I kind of wanted to play with knives. I wanted to be Peter Pan and flip a knife. And my mom said the only way I can touch the knives was to essentially start cooking. So I started cutting up little salads and all this stuff, and I started flipping spatulas and eventually graduated to knives and went to culinary school, and the story lives on.
How has your Armenian heritage influenced your food?
My Armenian heritage has impacted my food in a way where I would say I blended a lot of my classic French training with techniques that I was taught in school and through my cooking career, and then adapted them to Armenian cuisine and kind of like debunked a lot of these myths that great grandmas have passed down from generation to generation. And I was able to kind of create a shorter format of Armenian cuisine where certain things were like grandmas would sit for hours and sit there and like roll dolma, or they would cook certain dishes for like 7-8 hours. And now I've learned that I don't necessarily need to cook it for as long, but it's kind of been a mishmash of my cuisine, what I've learned, and Armenian cuisine, and it's kind of been a big blend, if that makes any sense.
Think fast. What's the first dish you ever cooked by yourself?
Eggs. Yeah, probably sunny side up eggs. Although shortly after came donuts from like the what is it, Pillsbury. Pillsbury biscuits. My brother and I found out that if you take Pillsbury biscuits and you deep fry them, they'll turn into donuts. And so we decided to pour a bunch of oil one day, and then we cooked these donuts. And then my brother thought, you know, we're done with the hot oil. So he turned around and he put it in the sink and hit it with the water. And it was like an explosion like I've never seen. He still has some burns on his face from it. It was like, so don't put hot oil in water, kids.
When did you know this would be your career?
You know, I grew up doing music and snowboarding. Music and snowboarding were my first loves, but I always found myself in the kitchen. And I eventually went to the family business, and all they would talk about is the family business. And we came home and it was family business, and I found myself constantly in the kitchen to kind of decompress. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air. And then one day I realized like, hey, I'm tired of the family business. My music career was not where it used to be. And I wanted to pursue cooking because I loved doing it, and I loved sharing my art with people and seeing the immediate reaction. And that's kind of how that happened.
What Armenian dish should everyone try?
Whoa, what Armenian dish should everyone try? Okay, I'm gonna throw it out there. I would say khash. Khash is the original bone broth. It is basically cow foot soup, and although that sounds super strange, I love it, and I think everybody should try it because everybody kind of seasons their own bowl, so everyone will make it to the way they like it. And now maybe the meat can be a little funky for some people, but who doesn't like a good broth with garlic and pepper and lemon, and you're gonna love it. Trust me, I'll make it for you.
How do you modernize recipes without losing tradition?
Modernizing recipes, I believe it comes from technique. Adapting our modern day techniques to classic recipes help the youth kind of learn how to make these dishes, and also finding new hacks, finding ways that we have access. We have access to different spices and ingredients and tools that will help kind of modern day people cook, instead of like, you know, you're in the village and you have to roll your own dough and make it, and then it takes hours and hours to do all this stuff. I think finding these little things around that we have helps, you know, modernize it.
What's your go-to comfort meal?
Sushi. There's a curveball.
Where do you find recipe inspiration?
My recipe inspiration comes kind of from everywhere, I would say. I will see something online and kind of be inspired. I will see my mother-in-law cooking something and be inspired. I will travel and kind of be inspired. And sometimes literally I'm just laying in bed and something pops into my head and it just matriculates the next day. So I feel like everybody can get inspiration from anywhere. It doesn't necessarily just have to be from food. You can be inspired by an event to create something new. You know, you could be watching, you know, snowboarding, for example, and then be like, you know what would work good with this event? A delicious, warm, heartwarming dish.
What's one ingredient you're absolutely obsessed with?
Obsessed in a good way, obsessed in a bad way. Which ingredient am I obsessed with? I'm obsessed with mayonnaise in a bad way. I hate mayonnaise with a passion. There was a time when it touched me, I'd start gagging. So I hate mayonnaise. I'm obsessed with it, I guess.
How do you help preserve Armenian food culture?
I think documenting Armenian food culture is the most important thing here. When we wrote our first cookbook, Lavash, we traveled around and we were able to standardize all these recipes that were always done by what Armenians would call achki chap, which means by the eye. So you'd have a grandma or somebody that's cooking and she'd literally take a cup of something, but not a measuring cup, just any cup, and put that and this and that and this. And it was our job, I feel like, to standardize those, because people don't necessarily always work by the eye anymore. People need specific recipes, and the ability to kind of put that on paper makes that legacy live on forever.
What's been your biggest challenge so far?
My biggest challenge so far, I don't know. Do I have big challenges? I would say the most frustrating part in this whole journey is like the hate you get through social media. That would be the most frustrating. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to provide something good energy, positivity, and you just have these people that are like trolls down low beneath you in these comments that are just trying to spread their own version of hate. And it's like an unintelligent person will spend their time and energy to put somebody else down. You can just move on. It's real easy. You just go, and I'm gone. You don't have to sit there and, talk trash. It's really, no successful person in this world has ever put somebody else down for trying to do something good. Boom.
Any failures that taught you something big?
Yeah, not any failures that kind of jump to mind. I think everybody needs to try to do whatever it is they want to do. And by not succeeding at a certain thing doesn't necessarily mean that you're a failure at it, but you have to try, and you'll learn how to gain traction from all of your successes through the failure itself. I've had some pretty big fails in the kitchen. One of them was I burned my entire face off with hot BBQ sauce. And I just had my hand on the blender and it kind of popped up. I turned it on, it popped up, and the hot BBQ sauce shot in my face, kind of melted off my skin. And my lesson was, put your hand on the damn blender.
Who would you cook for, dead or alive, and what would you cook?
I cook for my grandma. and I'd make her bamya, which is the one dish I will not make because she made it for me.
Favorite kitchen tool you can't live without?
A chef's knife.
Weirdest ingredient you've ever used?
I once cooked with placenta, and everybody was making, when you have a baby, the mothers have like the placenta pills, right? So I thought, we can eat placenta and it will help, postpartum in that action. So there's that. And then that happened.
If your cooking style was music, what genre is it?
EDM. EDM mixed with pop punk.
What's been the secret to your success?
I think the secret is consistency. It's consistency, passion, and energy. I try to convey a positive message. I'm always trying to be positive. I'm trying to give people 1 ounce of joy in this world. And if I can make one person smile through my content and what I do, I've succeeded. And I think the consistency and the drive that I have to provide things for people has been my secret. Now it's not a secret anymore, so.
Ever had a total kitchen fail?
Yeah, I burned my face off with barbecue sauce. It was a total kitchen fail. It was a big time fail. And I was developing a recipe for Red Bull was the idea. And I was doing a brisket, Red Bull brisket, and a Red Bull barbecue sauce and all this stuff. And I melted my face off. I threw away the brisket. I stopped drinking Red Bull. It was a disaster.
Dream celeb co-host for a cooking show?
Oh, dream celeb co-host. That's tough. That's a hard one. As much as I love like Gordon Ramsay's energy, Marcus Samuelson's energy, I like Bobby Flay a lot. I would probably say Bobby Flay. Also, I've never met Bobby Flay, so what's up, Bobby?
What's your guilty pleasure snack?
Guilty pleasure snack. What is my guilty pleasure snack? The what? The Japanese nuts, right? Probably the Japanese nuts, the coated chili nuts. I love those. I guess that's not super guilty. If it have to be really bad, maybe Flaming Hot Cheetos. That's guilty. I'm guilty, I'm sorry.
A food trend you secretly love or hate?
A food trend that I secretly love or hate. Damn, I don't know, that's hard. I don't know. I guess the what? Which eggs? Oh, the omu rice, the omu omelet. Sorry, yeah, omu rice. It's omu rice, right? Omu rice. That one. I don't think I've actually successfully done one of those. I hate it, but once I nail it, I'm gonna love it.
If you were doing anything else in life, what would that be?
It would be a musician, either a musician or a pro snowboarder. But that, my knees don't want to do that anymore. So I just snowboard, but not big jumps anymore. But probably a musician, it's a little more sustainable. Maybe golf.
What's next? Any cool projects coming up?
I am currently working on my second book. So this is in the works right now. We're kind of in the core section of it. And there's that, and content growing, and hopefully one day I'll have my own show on some awesome channel and, take over the world. Or like a travel show, a travel and eating show. Something in front of a camera where I'm just helping and showing the world everything I have to offer.
What's your rating of the sit?
This is awesome. 10 out of 10. I'll be back. Somebody give me a beer.